me, I'm going to mute everybody. And I'm gonna keep Pam unmuted. Where are you? I lost you. There you are. Sorry, I muted you by accident too.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a little screen share and Pam will get started to kick off some of the information about Open Studios. Whenever you're ready, Pam.
So in a lot of ways, this is like our normal Arlington Open Studios. You register like we have in the past, so that's the same. Nothing new there. But of course, everything is going to be online. But we're going to try to replicate everything that we did in person, but do it online. We're going to have a musician. I have an Irish step dancer I'm hoping will do something. And we're going to try to get that wonderful needlepoint artist that we had last year. I'm hoping she'll do a demo. And then this way we can get some close-ups of her. So there may be some really, you know, silver lining parts of this as well. So the look of the day, we're hoping to have it similar to what we've had in the past, just all online. Let's see. The one thing I wanted to point out that the AOS Online Artist Directory, you remember when we did Town Hall and we had a big group exhibit, everybody put their art up? This is that sort of substitute. And the nice thing is we don't have to worry about hanging it. We won't have to worry about not having a lot of people at an opening because it'll be up and we will have some kind of a gathering, but I think. But it will be up for a long time and people can go and check it out at their own convenience. So I think there'll be a lot of pluses to that. Selling art. Aneleise?
So with the selling art component, we were just trying to find a way to kind of embrace the fact that Open Studios is in a lot of ways geared towards transactions and local supporting local artists and shopping local. So we wanted to find a way that we could kind of translate that. And so a lot of artists I know have their own online stores, their own online shops. They have an Etsy page, they have a Shopify. They have, you know, other merchant type e-commerce sites. But some artists don't. Some artists don't have a page. I don't have a page that I can sell my art through right now. And so we wanted to come up with a couple of ways that people can actually sell their art during Open Studios. And so we would obviously drive traffic to anybody's websites that already do handle online sales, but we also wanted to come up with a solution. Our website has the functionality that we can actually make an online store. So we wanted to have that as an option available to artists as well if they would like to be able to sell work but don't have either the capacity or the time or infrastructure to be able to put together their own online store. And then Pam had already mentioned too that we also have because it's virtual, we have to come up with a lot of different ways to have an online presence that isn't just, you know, a listing on a website, because that's not very fun, that's not very engaging. So we wanted to have a way to present the arts throughout the day. So as Pam mentioned, we have musicians, we have dancers, we have our poetry, our poet laureate, and many different poets throughout Arlington and the region. They always do their day-long poetry reading during Open Studios, so they're going to be committed to doing some readings throughout the day. And then we also want to find ways for artists to you know, have an opportunity to share little behind the scenes snippets of what they're working on. If they want to do a studio tour, obviously everybody's kind of working out of home. And so if that space is just kind of the corner of a certain room that happens to be where you're creating right now, then that's a really fun way to share that. We could do a live demonstration. Lydia, who's in attendance tonight, she's done some really wonderful art demos where she's sort of brought people right into her workspace and showed people the work that she's creating right now and sort of what techniques she's using, what materials she's using. And I think she may be able to speak to this, but I know that it's a really great way to give potential customers an insight into sort of how the piece is created and a little bit more personal connection. So we're hoping to offer that, and we can work with different artists on how they might want to put together their content, if they want to do it themselves, if they want to pre-record something and send it to us and we'll share it. or we've also been talking about doing some live sort of Zoom chats, very similar to this, where there's an artist who's kind of showing a panel of live attendees kind of what they're working on or how they're creating something. So we're open to a lot of different options, but I think that's one of the key elements of this day, being successful and being engaging, is finding a lot of live opportunities for artists to share what they're working on. So that's kind of the gist of all of the components. We wanted to put together, just a list of important dates to keep an eye on. Pam, I don't know if you want to chat about some of these.
Well, the registration deadline is coming up on September 8th. And then there'll be the first email check-in to, I'll be checking in with people and making sure that if they don't have any questions or any problems with anything. What's new this year that we're kind of excited about is we're going to have Anna Kuhn talk to us about 3 different separate elements of specifically having open studios online. And she's really wonderful. If you haven't heard her, she was doing something, it was for Jamaica Plain, right? JP?
Yep.
Yep. And she's very warm and engaging and makes it easy to understand. So she's going to be doing on the 3 different dates there, selling your artwork on September 24th, October 1st, maintaining your online brand, which she can go into more detail about. And then October 8th, creating successful in-studio events. Like how do you do your lighting? How do you position the things so you get the best angle and switch between, I don't know what she's going to be talking about, but you can kind of get a sense of what she's going to go and how she's going to demystify all the questions that you're probably thinking of right now.
Those is that those 3 workshops are included in your registration fee.
Right.
So it's not an expense that you have to pay for to attend, and they are exclusive to 2020 participants. This will be only participating artists will get this opportunity to learn from Anna. And she is an artist herself. She's an artist consultant, and so she really has a great sense. She's hosted her own open studios many times and works with a lot of artists on how to create successful open studios experiences. It makes it applicable to a lot of different, interests too. So if somebody prefers to do most of their stuff on social media, or if they prefer to do most of their stuff through an email list, like she has the tools for all of those. So it's a really exciting element this year that we're excited to.
Yeah. And why don't you talk a little bit about the marketing toolbox, because that's kind of your thing.
That's really just, it's very similar to those of you who have participated in years past. I always give a Google Drive full of templates and promotional photos and posters and that kind of stuff, just to encourage everybody to have a bit of ownership over the process of promotion in this event, without making it too difficult, while still giving you guys all the tools to actually do it with kind of a simple paste and click kind of thing. But that is always something I have available in advance so that you have ample time to share it, and I can give people tips on how to put together an email newsletter, a social media post, give you the right captions, the right tags, all that kind of stuff. So that'll be something available to everybody about a month after the registration deadline is passed.
And the inventory forms that are due October 15th, that's referring to whether that's the part where if an artist wants us to, you want to speak to that a little bit too?
Yeah, so this is just applicable for people who are interested in selling their work through ACA's website. When you'll notice, those of you who haven't gone in and registered yet, when you go into the application, there's a box that you can tick that says I'd like to sell my work with ACA. And once I see that box ticked, you'll get an email from me after the registration deadline telling you what to do, which is basically filling out an inventory form, which includes titles, dimensions, price, any sort of anecdote you want to talk about the piece, and then an image that you'll be required for each listing piece. So that will be about a month before the event itself. That deadline will happen, because then I have to go to the store. So we're gonna give us time for that. So we've kind of talked about some of these things already, but we just wanted to kind of, if somebody's asking for a snapshot of all the different components of me as an artist participating in open studios, what that would look like for me. Obviously the benefit of attending, of registering and being part of an event like this is that you're then amplified throughout our network. So we're doing a lot of the legwork in terms of promotion for the event. You'll have an online presence on our website as well as through our email newsletter, on all of our social media platforms. And obviously then you'll be connected to a network of other participants and to all of the attendees that get notified about this throughout the fall. And I think the benefit of this online portion is that we have a much broader network. You know, you don't have to be in Arlington on the 14th to be able to attend Arlington Open Studios this year, which is really nice. We also have the flexibility to extend some of the exposure too. So you might have noticed that the online listings and the store will be open through the end of the year to encourage more holiday oriented shopping, since November 14th is kind of right on the cusp of when people start to think about holiday shopping. So we thought that timing worked out really nicely. And then of course, the other components of what your actions would be throughout the event and leading up to the event would be promoting on social media if you have those platforms, and we can work with you guys on helping figure out how you want to post on those things. Selling your art, if that's something, some people don't want to sell their work, they just want to exhibit it. That's totally fine. And so if selling your art is not a element of open studios that you want to participate in, that's totally fine. There's other ways that you can still stay engaged. So doing those studio tours, doing some live demos or some pre-recorded demos could be a really fun element for you, and probably much more what you'd be interested in if you don't want to sell your work. And then Pam and I will be working with artists who are interested in doing live events to create like a schedule of events, so that over the course of the day, a visitor could look at the schedule and see, oh, I see that at 2 o'clock, Augusta's going to be doing a talk on assembling her quilts, or, you know, so having sort of a broad range of different activities that you can choose from and participate in. And some will be via Zoom, some will be on social media. I've been looking into some other platforms that artists have shared with me on sort of how people are reconfiguring open studios this year. So yeah, that's kind of the general gist of a snapshot of what open studios could look like for somebody.
But one advantage is they won't be competing with each other, because they'll be one at a time, rather than in real life where you have to choose between going to a poetry reading or hearing music. You won't have to do that for this time. So silver lining. Oh, okay. And how do you register? Again, that's similar to what our other platforms have been in past gallery registration for artwork. You just upload your images, fill out the form, provide all the information on would you like to participate in all the components, and you pay the fee all in one package. And this year, our Open Studios isn't going to be juried because there's no limit on the space, which is another good thing. So.
Yes, and I've had a couple questions about this, so I just wanted to clarify for everybody. The online directory, we're going to be able, each artist, we can have up to 15 images, but this submission form that we're going to be using only has enough storage space for 10. So upload 10 when you go through the application process. Plan to upload 10 images, and then once the registration deadline is passed, I'm actually going to share a Google folder with each of you that'll be your specific folder, that'll have your photos in it, it'll have any other information in it that you might want to share with Pam and I, and that will then give you the chance to upload more images. So just to clarify that for some people, because there are places where it says 15 and then the application only lets you do 10, so that's right on that. Other things, Pam? Did you have something else to say?
No. Do you want to go to some of the questions that we have in the chat?
Yeah, so I'm going to start sharing. So I haven't been able to see any of the questions. Apologies for that. So let's see. I see Kevin has asked, what platforms will the day of videos be on? YouTube stream, Instagram, or just the ACA website? So yes, we're going to have yes to all of those things. We're going to have Instagram and social media. Facebook and Instagram are sort of interconnected, so we'll have that as a live component as well as a pre-recorded component. Anything pre-recorded will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube that's just kind of a generic ACA one that'll catch everything, but it'll be all of our pre-recorded content will be included on there. And then we're going to explore, again, using Zoom or some of these more live components, we're going to explore actually doing so that we can see all of the attendees versus something like Instagram or YouTube where you're not actually seeing all the attendees. So we'll try and do a little bit of both because everybody has different comfort levels for how they like to participate with all of that. Sharon asked, can an artist sell through ACA and their own online shop too? Of course, absolutely. The only reason we make the distinction is that selling through ACA on our website does require a commission on all sales, just because we have merchant fees that we have to accommodate and listing costs that are associated with that. So we do take a 30% commission on any sales that are sold through our website, but it's modest in comparison to other places, and it just covers our expenses around that. But no, you're not limited to one or the other. Oh, and Janet had the same question. Betty asked, will you send us specs on image sizes to upload? I think that will all come with the toolkit. Betty, I think you're talking about for your registration when you actually submit stuff to us. Yeah, so I can give you specific. So usually I require everything to come in at 300 DPI, just because then that allows me to do some, it's a high enough resolution that I can use it for print and digital, and it kind of translates nicely. And it's a 300 DPI also isn't too big that it blows out the upload feature. Well, so
Lydia, sorry, were you done? I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm done. I was just about to read the next.
I was going to say Lydia had her hand up, and then we'll go back to the chat questions before we forget.
On the image size, though, 300 DPI, but what size of the image? That's the resolution number, but the actual size.
Well, the ratio doesn't, it's kind of whatever it is, because I know that some people have different dimensions that they have their images at.
Oh, we'll talk offline. I don't want to take up time here.
Yeah.
Well, two things. One of it is that the live, Instagram Live and Facebook Live, over Bubble Fest, it worked really well.
Yeah.
It was new to me, but people got engaged. People, email and contacted me, making comments, and one person actually made it, an offer for a painting. So that was good. So I think that those were really successful because, and especially if there's a schedule, I just did it 3 times, and again, I didn't know what I was doing. So I really highly recommend that all of you really familiarize yourself, because it really isn't that hard, other than setting up your studio. And now I am because of the ACA. The other thing is what website in yours is that we get 2 platforms. I guess that is not clear to me. Why would I want to? Because the question before prompted this question.
Yeah, Sharon, if you want, feel free to, if you want to answer, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to, Sharon, and I can answer also. Well,
Here she comes. We can't hear her. I can't hear her.
I have to unmute yourself.
she is unmuted. I don't know, Sharon, I'm not sure your audio is connected.
No, she's not unmute.
Maybe you'll have to type it.
So I'll let Sharon type if she'd like, but I think your question, Lydia, was just what's the point of doing, or what's the benefit of doing both?
Right.
Yeah.
Some people, it's just because we're going to be driving a lot of traffic to our website to begin with, so it allows people to have that exposure too. Obviously, we're then, if you are selling on your own website, there's a link on our website to your website. But if that same person who's looking at our online store doesn't also happen to go over to the directory at the same time, that it ends up catching.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, because I just think it is basically to catch people where they are.
Yeah, You wouldn't probably want to, we'd have to make some distinction around what you're listing with us versus what you're selling on your own, because if something sells on your own website or vice versa.
I got it. Yeah, I would not deny ACA of the fee. I mean, that would be like not my value system.
I appreciate that. More so making sure that it doesn't sell twice. You don't want to sell it to two different people if there's only one of them.
Right, we just have to figure out how to do it, but it's actually not a bad idea. You know, it's sort of like selling through one of those big sites in yours, and whatever sells in, I don't know, Fine Art America, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, no,
Yeah.
good. No, that's it. And will you record the workshops? Because on the 24th of September, I have a commitment already,
Yes.
which actually wasn't done tonight. I'm teaching, and so I love to I love to take advantage. Learning is always good.
Yeah, so because this is something that's included in everybody's registration fee, we are going to record them so that nobody
Great.
misses out on them. They will have an expiration date though, however, just because this is Anna's intellectual property and we don't want to be distributing it out to the public when she
No.
didn't agree to that. So we will have it pre-recorded and you guys will all listen to each of the recordings once.
Thank you. Sounds exciting.
Good, thanks. Janet asked, how do we deliver work that sells? So we are going to be setting it up in such a way that we're going to be asking people if they're okay with shipping, that they actually include the cost of shipping in the price that they give Pam and I, just because it's a lot easier than asking everybody to individually weigh and measure every single piece and all the packing material that you're going to be including with each of your pieces and give us all that information so that we can then calculate shipping for you. So we're just going to ask that you include it in the price of the pieces that you send us. And if you do a local pickup, which is going to be an option for people if you're comfortable with it, that it ends up just being a little more that you end up taking away from that sale. And also if for any reason, if there's anybody who has any uncomfortability with local pickup or shipping, Pam and I are happy to be available to help you facilitate that, either packing stuff up or something like that. Justine, did you have a question?
I was just going to jump in about shipping because I've been doing a lot of that from home. The USPS is great. If you request shipping supplies, they'll send most of them to you for free and they'll pick up from your home. So I've been doing a lot of like leaving it in my lobby and I set up a pickup and they'll pick it up for me. So you actually don't have to go to the post office, which has been super helpful for our work.
That's good to know. I didn't know that. I'm just going to close this so I can see more of my chat. Okay. So Sharon, you asked that, will ACB shipping sales or the artist? So I think that answers that question for Sharon. You also had a question, what if we're not entirely certain which components we want to participate in when we register? That's a great question. I would say I guess I could add an option in the application to say, can I talk to you about it? I think the way we have the application set up right now is that there's radio buttons where you select all of the pieces that you're interested in. It's not a legally binding contract that if you click all 5 options and then I email you to set up what you'd like to do and you say, actually, I don't feel comfortable doing that anymore, there's no penalty for that. I would encourage everybody to consider all of the options that we're providing people in terms of the components that we're offering. So in the application, there's places where you just kind of tick a box to say, I'd love to pre-record an art demo, or I'd love to do a live studio tour. All of those boxes are sort of tickable in there.
We'll have a spreadsheet, and so like everything else in life, if something changes, we'll just update that spreadsheet. So,
and another
go ahead.
Want to keep going? The last question Sharon had was, why are we uploading images with the registration? That is just so that way I'm capturing that element that I don't have to send another email to ask people for images after they're registering. It's just
one less thing we have to run after people for.
Yeah, it keeps everybody accountable too, that I'm able to collect all of that stuff.
Pam, can I say something about that?
Oh, sure. Louise, go ahead.
What I did, because every time I have done anything like this online, is that I find myself going and measuring my artwork and looking on my website and say, okay, how much did I charge? And I lose it sometime. Everything I've done, then I go back to that page and it's gone. So what I did is I took pictures of my artwork that I wanted to upload and typed all the information on either side. I looked at the application form so that when I go and I jump in, I can do everything at once without going to 6 different places and get my tape measure out. So if that's helpful to other people, I just wanted to offer that.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
And Augusta also included that some of her images were too big and she had to resize, so she found it easiest to upload from a Google folder. And that's okay. If anybody has trouble with the image upload during the registration process, I've mentioned before that you'll have an opportunity once you've registered to start to contribute to a Google folder. And if that's what your preferred thing is, then just upload one image so that we know, we just can sort of identify visually each of our participants, and then from there we can work on collecting images from people, whatever is easiest. So, and Lydia, just to clarify, because I see the images that you're talking about, this is all virtual. There is no physical component of Open Studios this year. The images that you're giving us are really essentially to create an online gallery of just your work. Every single artist is going to have in this directory, it'll actually look very similar to what you guys see right now, where it's a lot of icons of different images. And then from there, you can click on any of those images and it'll bring you to that artist's profile essentially. And that profile will consist of a gallery of images. I'm sorry if I didn't clarify that earlier, that it's really just a way for, if there's an artist who doesn't have a website, or they don't have an Etsy shop, or they don't have a social media platform, and this is literally going to be their whole Open Studios experience, is people coming and visiting our artist directory, that they have a way to show images of all of the work that they've created. Because we want to have different ways for different people to participate and to share this experience. So we wanted to have all of those options. Sharon asked, do the images have to be things that are going to be for sale or just for marketing? I will leave that up to you guys. If you want it to just be stuff that's for sale, that's okay. But I know a lot of people, create things that are more retail based, and things that are more conceptual or cultural or whatever it is that they don't actually, or just even personal work that they don't want to sell, or even that it's already sold. I'm thinking about most of the images I have right now. I don't have a lot of my new work photographed, but I have a lot of my old stuff that's already sold or is
somewhere else.
or it's buried somewhere. I have more images of that kind of stuff, and that might be where I start in terms of registering. And then as we get closer to the event, that's why the shared folder is going to be so helpful, because there's plenty of time and a lot of people are very prolific right now with their creations, and so we don't want to limit. Sharon, I saw that. I want to make sure that there's an opportunity available for people who may be creating new work between now and November 14th that still have the opportunity to show it, so that it's not out of date by the time we get to the event itself. And it's easy enough for me to kind of switch out images on our website. So, okay, let me just double check.
It looks like we got all the questions answered.
We got to all of them. I appreciate everybody's patience while I sorted through all of that. And if there's other questions that people have, feel free to pop them in.
Or raise your hand.
I have to say goodbye, but thank you very much
Kevin.
for running this, and it's been great. It's been useful to hear all this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for coming.
And I want to mention how grateful I am of how much thought you put into this, because it really sounds exciting. You know, as I said, I have such a full schedule that I was really kind of saying, no, I'm not going to do it. But no, you got me hooked.
Oh, good.
As I was thinking, Pam won't have to be running around. That's good for me too.
We're virtually going to be running around.
Yeah, but you're not going to. Except Pam not doing the physical work. I don't know where it's going to go. But.
I don't know what that's going to be like.
It's a nice, much-deserved break for Pam.
That's all right. We have 5 weeks of live camp, so that'll fix me.
Yeah,
right.
They're running around right now physically with campers. Sharon, I see your hand. Are you typing? That's okay. Go ahead. You keep typing. I can't hear you, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're the only one that has to write a chat, because
she might have her sound on the computer turned off.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
He has a big question. All right, well, we're waiting on bated breath. One thing I will say too is there was a question about just related to why somebody might list with ACA and also on their own website. And I also, one thing I guess I didn't really think about or didn't articulate before is that, you know, this event for Arlington Center for the Arts, as much as it's a community event, we also see it as a way for people to stay connected and to support the ACA. And one way that somebody might be able to do that if they aren't able to give a financial contribution or a donation to us as a nonprofit, is that commission could become a support for the ACA as well. So just, it's an aside and just something to think about, in that if you wanted to find a way that you could support the ACA, I think that commission could be a component of that as well, if that makes sense. Okay, here we go. So from Sharon, I really liked the live chat aspect of a show I saw this weekend. Artists set up their booth or sat in a studio, and you could just go in, no Zoom code or anything. This was the booth thing that you shared with me over the weekend, Sharon, right? Yeah. Yeah, so there was the Vermont Studios, Craft Studios? I forget who it was from. But they essentially, their entire Open Studios event was on this people had a booth where essentially they paid their fee and they existed in this virtual booth that people could go and visit, and the artists were present and they were doing live chats, and
I like that.
it allowed people to do. So we're looking into, so like I had mentioned, we're looking into sort of some of those digital platforms that aren't just social media or aren't just Zoom too, if people prefer not to be on Zoom in that way. So I appreciate Sharon sharing that with me. And if anybody else comes across anything, because I know a lot of you guys as artists are looking.
That's exciting. That's similar to the Bubble Fest. I mean, you had to be there the whole time, but it paid off, you know,
Right.
Instead of just being like hit or miss. If you're there, I like that idea.
Yeah, so we're exploring lots of ways, because I think it's really important to have diversity in how people engage, because people don't have social media or they don't like to be on those platforms. And sometimes Zoom can just be kind of we're just kind of fatigued from Zoom these days. So if we can find some new platforms to share, we're exploring that. Yeah, so
Sharon said it looked
central.
It looked like Zoom, but no code or invite. It felt more like an actual Open Studios. Oh, and Sarah said, I'm looking at running a virtual show with my bead society using their platform, Booth Central.
Yeah, that's the platform that Vermont Studios that they use, or Vermont.
I can give you more info. It's super cheap.
Yeah, please do. I was happy to have Sharon send me the link this weekend, and I attended briefly and just kind of looked, and it was really fun because you logged right in and there was just an artist there, and they were already talking and giving sort of a demo of what they were working on, and it was a really nice component. It was obviously, that's really a lot of what Open Studios becomes about, is about engagement with visitors and checking out art that people are making and working on and have made. So yeah,
It's really cheap to do, honestly. It's like $49 for a month.
Great.
For the organization, and then they charge artists $15 for each day.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, I'll explore how that might integrate, because we're doing the one-day event and we want to make sure there's not too much congestion in any given time for artists. We'll explore that for sure. Plus every artist gets a tile. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yep, you can put your own website on there or not, totally up to you. You can have live video on your own little section. Yeah.
All right, well, let's see. I'm always open to, Pam and I are absolutely open to, because this is new territory for both of us in reconstructing this event this year. So we're open to that without getting too congested with options. We'll explore lots of things. So we appreciate any ideas that people have on this. Okay, so if there's any other questions, I'm gonna type in Pam's email and my email, although I'm sure you guys have both of them everywhere. So that's Pam's email, and this is my email. If you guys have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to send both or either of us emails about things. Like we said in the discussion, the deadline for registration is September 8th. So we encourage people to sign up if and when they are able. And oh, Tom, do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. But before we say goodbye, I just want to say, I come from the theater world, and Pam and Aneleise totally deserve a bow. I feel so lucky to work with such smart, creative people. And, I'm just very impressed by like their energy around all of this and their, excitement about serving all of you. And we're so happy to have your interest and your buy-in for this. We don't take that for granted. We know these are strange times, and we know we're asking you to make a leap. And it really means a lot to us that you're considering making that leap with us. So thank you.
For sure.
Well, we appreciate you being here, Tom. It says a lot about our director being here for this.
Yeah. I want to add that as an artist representative in Arlington, it is important that we really support the Arlington Center for the Arts. This is with all the stuff, the space that is disappearing and all the studios that we cannot attend to, make sure that we have something to go back to it or to really latch onto it like at this moment. That is precious. So let's tell everybody that we need to participate just because alone. We need to hold on to some structures after all this is over. And while this is over, and thank you for your thinking, this is wonderful. I mean, I wasn't going to attend tonight because I'm exhausted, but I'm very excited now. And by the way,
Go ahead. We're gonna have another one on Sunday at 4. I don't know who I'm talking over. I apologize. But if you didn't get enough tonight, come back. Sorry.
But this Booth Central really looks good, so consider it, and really it's exciting. And if we have to pay a little bit extra, it seems to be worth it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that, and we'll explore it to see if it's how we can incorporate into all of this. And just in that same tone to all of you, we as ACA want to continue to find ways, especially in this pandemic, especially with the fact that so many artists have been so significantly financially impacted by closures and cancellations that we didn't want to cancel this event outright. We felt very strongly that we wanted to find an alternative just because, artists are really suffering right now, all mediums too. So finding ways that we can support artists of all disciplines is really important to the center.
And there was a time, I think it was April, when Tom and I were sitting outside in the sun and we were saying, we could do a live open studios.
Yeah, there was that week.
Yeah.
Was that week? And then a week later, we're like, nope, we're not doing that.
We thought about outdoors, but November felt like too much of we're taking too much.
Unknown.
We didn't want it to be the first snow of the season, right?
And I want to add something else, that actually last year when we did it in November, it was very good. I mean, I really did a lot of sales, and I like that date because people are ready to buy. And this year, I really suggest that you really buy things that are affordable so you can ship it immediately. So don't think of selling your big stuff. You can do what you want, but it really the smaller art really did very, very well.
Because people's pocketbooks are going to be limited, but they also want to support art, and they love art, but their pocketbooks are either non-existent or strapped.
You raise a great point. I mean, why are you doing open studios? Do you want to show people your work and you don't care about selling so much? You're really focused on selling. So that helps too, to prioritize what your vision is for open studios. What are you hoping to get out of it?
Right.
I remember Kevin Duffy, he sold sculptures, those huge, heavy sculptures. He never expected to sell. He just wanted to kind of be a part of the event.
Right. And I want to say that that's not true that everybody else is suffering. And I'm not trying to consider, I just say we have to think that people really want to make their space more lively, more loving. I have sold art, and I feel myself really grateful. I just sold 3 large paintings just the other day when I went to sell only one. And so that it is just that because people are home, they're saying, oh, and the one person said, do you think it's a good idea to buy art before I decorate? Because I'm an interior designer too. I said, of course, that's kind of the scheme. So think about selling art because people need what we have.
Augusta said, what did she say? Augusta said, most outdoor, I can't read that. I got to bring it up. What did Augusta say? Most did an outdoor event and everybody sold some. Oh, the one up in Melrose, and we had 450 people over the course of the day.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
it was beautiful. I went to that, and it only rained at the very end.
Recently, that was recently.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks, right, Augusta? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks? I don't know. Time doesn't really matter anymore.
That's excellent. Yeah, we
It was 1st and 2nd of August, and we just missed the when Baker changed how many people could be gathered at an event.
Right.
That's right.
And then during the middle of the week, it changed back down to 50.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was a festival or an open studio, or what was it exactly?
It was like a farmer's market set up.
Mhm.
Everybody was in a tent, and we were spaced.
Distanced.
Yeah, we were distanced from each other, and we had people taking phone numbers and people's names so they could be traced in case there were a case from it. And we had somebody counting so that there were never too many people in there. But people were so bored. They were so happy to come out and buy stuff. And they all needed something for their Zoom background.
That is what I hear all the time. People are dying to do something, anything. They're willing to sit up at a picnic table under the sun to share a meal with someone. So yes.
Yeah, this is certainly changing how we, function in general. So I think we're taking in all the different variations of how people are doing open studios, because this may not be the last time we have to make some sort of changes to the adjustments in some capacity. So we're glad to find out about all the different ways people are staying connected right now, because it's tricky times for sure. Okay.
Good to be part of making people connected.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to say good night. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Feel free to email us if you have questions, and have a good rest of your summer. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I'll be speaking to you, Aneleise. I'm going to email you tomorrow for something entirely separate.
Tom, I want to know, is that in your home, those windows behind you? Oh, it's a cabinet.
Me?
Is it outdoors, or is it a china cabinet?
No, those are 2 windows. That's the neighbors across the way.
The windows. It's beautiful. I love it.
They're nice windows. We inherited them.
Nice neighbors.
Very nice. We live on the friendliest street in Arlington.
What street do you live on?
Newman Way. We have a block party every year. This year it might be virtual.
Or distanced. It could be distanced.
All righty. Well,
thank you all.
Thank you all.
It's good to see you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.